Hello students, in this lecture I will cover the various topics like transmission control protocol, TCP services, concepts of ports and sockets in brief, and finally TCP header and its various components. So before going to talk the various topics, I will discuss whatever we have discussed in the previous lectures. In the previous lectures, I have discussed about the transport layer. It is the very most important layer in the TCP episodes. I have discussed the various protocols provided by the transport layer, that is TCP, UDP, and SCTP. Then I have discussed the various services provided by the transport layer and the characteristics of transmission control protocol, user datagram protocol, and stream control transmission protocol. So as you know, the TCP, that is transmission control protocol, is a reliable protocol. Reliability means it takes 100% guarantee to deliver data from source to destination correctly, and it has acknowledgement services. Means whenever message are delivered to the particular destination, so it will return the acknowledgement so that receive sender can confirm the proper delivery of data. So TCP is a connection oriented protocol. What does it mean? Connection oriented protocol means prior to sending data from sender to receiver, there is a need of establishment of connection. So before sending data, TCP establishes the connection between sender and receiver. So this concept I will discuss in the later video. But here for your just overview, I just want to give the overview of TCP and UDP. So TCP is a reliable protocol. Reliability means it has acknowledgement services. It takes guarantee to send data correctly. And another protocol is UDP. UDP is unreliable protocol, as we have discussed in previous lecture. What does it mean? UDP does not provide reliability. Means it does not take guarantee to send data correctly from source to destination. UDP does not have acknowledgement services. Means whenever a sender will send data, there will be no acknowledgement returned back from the receiver. So then what is the need? Suppose UDP is unreliable, then what is the need of UDP? So I have discussed basically we have to use various type of services. There is a service where we have to matter the content. Means there is not a single bit error can be tolerated, but in other type of services we can tolerate some distortion in the data. Suppose there is a data loss, something little a bit loss, so it doesn't make any difference on data. So both the protocols uses for different services. So in case of reliable data, uh, we will use TCP. Like suppose you want to send a file, suppose you want to send a mail to a particular person. So there is a need to deliver proper data. Because of loss of any bit of data, single bit of data is not tolerable. But in case of audio video, if there is a distortion in data, so it may be tolerable. Suppose you are watching movie, so there is a loss of bits, doesn't make any difference, and human eyes are not able to predict because uh, it frequently changes. So we are unable to predict the distortion. So I have discussed about TCP and UDP a lot in the previous lecture. So you should listen the previous video, watch the video properly. Then now I am going to discuss about the transmission control protocol properly. So, as you know, the TCP and UDP, these are the basic protocols which are existed in the transport layer. Transport layer runs on the top of the internet layer and is concerned with process to process delivery of data packets. Here, process is running application program on a host on any computer. The main task of transport layer is to ensure correct delivery of packets. This introduces several responsibilities like flow control mechanism and error control mechanism. By flow control, we mean that a faster sender must not draw a slow receiver with the data packets resulting in the data loss. The transport layer also provides connection mechanism. So it establishes connection with the receiver, transfer data and terminate the connection. The transport layer includes acknowledgement service to check for packet loss in the network. So in TCP/IP, transport layer is represented by two protocols that we have discussed, TCP and UDP. UDP is simpler of two protocols, that is UDP and TCP. It is unreliable, and UDP is also connectionless transport protocol. Unreliability means, as I have discussed, it does not provide any flow control, error control and acknowledgement services. So connectionless means that no connection is established between the sender and the receiver prior to sending data. If UDP detects an error, it silently drops the packet. What is the use of UDP? I explain you because it is unreliable. So in case of audio and video, we will use UDP, and in case of the where content matters and loss of packet is not tolerable, then we will use the TCP, transmission control protocol, and UDP protocol. So we have seen that IP packets may travel through different routes and may arrive out of sequence. TCP puts the packets in sequence. An alternative router may be discard IP packets and they may not arrive at the destination at all. So TCP checks for missing packets and handle this issue transmission request. Packets may get duplicated due to hardware malfunction. TCP discards duplicate packets. So TCP takes care of all these situations and makes the internet reliable. So before going to further discussion, I want to discuss about the process to process communication, because there is an important service which is provided by TCP protocol. So first I will discuss about the process. What do you mean by process? So IP provides the host-to-host communication, as we have studied earlier, and TCP provides process-to-process communication. So first I have to clear the concept of the process. TCP delivers the data packets to destined application program through process. So application running on different host communication with TCP with the help of concept called ports. A port is a unique 16-bit number allocated to an application program. It is used when an application wants to open a TCP connection with another application on the remote computer. To understand how, let us take a real analogy. Suppose you just see here, there is a host A and host B, and each and every host may have number of applications running on it. So you just see here, here you just see the various applications which are running: application 1, application 2, application 3, and host B also have number of application programs. So suppose A want to call B staying in a hotel X, room number Y. Now A dials the phone number of the hotel after getting the response from the operator. A must tell the room number of B to be able to connect to B. This information is used to redirect the call to B. Now suppose an application X on host A wants to communicate to application Y on host B. As you see in the slide, it must first reach B and then Y. Reaching B is not enough because there may be multiple applications running on B, which might want to communicate with another application running on some other host. So specifying the host is not enough. So a process on a local host called client needs some services from the process on a remote host called a server. The client uses a random port number called ephemeral port. The server also defines a port number with itself, which is known to all and not random. This is because a client wanting to access a particular service will not know the port number if it is random. Therefore, TCP uses well-known port number. This also allows multiple TCP connections between two hosts are possible. Although the IP address would be same, the port number would be different each time. So as we have discussed here, I have taken an analogy of hotel. So suppose you visited a particular city and you want to communicate a particular person, your friend, which is stay in a particular hotel. So suppose you want to connect with him. So you will dial first the number of hotel. So whenever you will dial the number, the receptionist will pick up the phone first and will ask you whom you want to contact. So you will have to tell the particular person's name. Then the receptionist will identify the room number. Then he or she will again dial the room number. So then now you will able to connect with your friends. Here your phone number, that is hotel's phone number, is work as a IP address, and the particular room number, extension of room number, is works as a port number. So in the figure you can see here there is a IP address, source IP address and destination IP address. So in this case the host A have number of application. So in the slide you can see application X, application W, and next side you can see at host B application Y, application Z. So any host may have number of applications. So suppose host A want to send something to host B here. So host A will contact host B with the help of destination IP address. Here IP address used as a network layer, you have studied earlier, because network layer provide host to host communication. Network layer provide host to host communication, and internet layer, internet protocol uses IP address to communicate different hosts. So here you can see the IP address, that is 192.168.0.2. This is the IP address of host A. Want to communicate with IP address 192.168.0.24, that is of host B. So, but delivering of the data from host A to host B uh, does not mean the proper delivery of data, because on host A, suppose application X want to send data to application Y, which is reside on host B. So here there must be a concept to identify the various applications, various processes. So these processes are identified by the port number, which is of 16-bit number, and these port numbers are also known as process identifier. Means you can say port number is also known as process identifier, just to identify a particular process running on a particular host, identified with the particular number, that is of 16-bit number, and it is known as port number. So the application X now provides the IP address of B to identify the host B. Thousands of hosts on the internet. IP provides port number corresponding to application Y running on B to uniquely identify the application. Here there is another concept developed, that is socket. So the term socket is used to identify the IP address and port number concatenated together, as you can see here. What do you mean by socket? So you can say socket means IP address plus port number. So when port number you write with the socket, you can say socket address plus port address, IP address plus port address is known as socket. So socket is equals to IP address plus port number. So a client socket identify a client process uniquely, and a server socket identifies server process uniquely. Hence, a pair of socket identifies a TCP connection between two applications on two different hosts. So this is all about the port number and socket number. What do you mean by port number? Port numbers are process identifier, and socket means socket is equals to IP address plus port number. So at the transport layer, the address which is used to communicate with process is known as port number. But in case of internet layer, that is address used by internet protocol is known as IP address, which is of 32-bit address. So IP address provide host to host communication, but port number provides process to process communication, which is used at the transport layer. Now next service is you can see here connection oriented service. So what do you mean by connection oriented service? As I have discussed, as you are aware also from your previous concept, the connection oriented service comprises of the handshake procedure, which is full duplex connection, in that two processes can send messages to each other over the connection at the same time. When the application has finished sending the message, it must remove the connection. The service is referred to as a connection oriented service. We are also aware from the discussion on the network layer that this service is implemented through the virtual circuit mechanism. So TCP also provide connection oriented service. What does it mean? Before sending data from source to destination, there is a need of establishment of connections, so that proper delivery, error-free delivery, and without loss of delivery can be achieved. So another service provided by transmission control protocol is reliable transport service. So as I have discussed, reliability means if it takes 100% guarantee to deliver data from source to destination without any loss, and it has acknowledgement service so that sender can confirm that the uh, delivery has been done properly. So communicating process can rely on TCP to deliver all the data that is sent without error and in proper order. When one side of the application passes a stream of byte into a socket, it can count on TCP to deliver the same stream of data to receiving socket with no missing or duplicate bytes. Reliability in the internet is achieved with the use of acknowledgement and retransmission. Suppose there is a loss of packet from receiver side, then sender will retransmit the particular packet. And next service provided by TCP is congestion control mechanism. TCP also includes a congestion control mechanism for the smooth functioning of internet processes. When the packet load offered to the network exceeds its handling capacity, congestion buildup. One point to be noted is that here, although the internet connection oriented service is bundled with suitable data transfer, flow control and congestion control mechanism, they are not the essential components of the connection oriented service. A connection oriented service can be provided with bundling these services through a different type of networks. So the last service which is provided by the TCP, we cannot say it is last, but it is most important service. That is stream delivery service. So TCP is stream oriented protocol. It allows the sending process to deliver data as a stream of bytes and allow receiving process to obtain data as a stream of bytes. So now I will discuss about the another service which is most important service, that is stream delivery service. TCP is a stream oriented protocol. It allows the sending process to deliver data as a stream of bytes and allow receiving process to obtain data as a stream of bytes. For this, TCP needs two buffers, the sending buffer and the receiving buffer. You can see in the slide, one buffer for each direction. So you just see here, there is a sending process, sending buffer, and this is the receiving buffer. And these are the files coming from here. And this, you just imagine that the buffer is divided into various blocks, and they are indicated in a gray, that is byte stream, and with the black color there these bytes are sent. And at the receiving end, you can see here the next byte to receive, and this pass on through this. So this indicates the receiving TCP. So whatever data is coming from this buffer and transmit to the next buffer, receiving side buffer receive the bytes and move like this. So each and every bytes is read by the system. So at the sending side, the buffer can have three types of chambers. The white section is the section of empty bytes, you can see here, which can be filled by the sender. These are the filled by sender. The gray section contains bytes that have been sent but not acknowledged. They are kept in the buffer until the acknowledgement is received. The black area contains the bytes to be sent by the sending TCP. At the receiving side, you just see here at the receiving side, the buffer is divided into two sections. The white section is the section of empty bytes which can be filled by the received bytes. The black section here contains the bytes which can be read by the receiving process. It handles the speed mismatch between the sender and the receiver. There is one more step before the data can be sent. IP, the service provider of TCP, sends data as packets and not as a stream of bytes. So TCP groups a number of bytes into a segment, add a TCP header and delivers the packet to the IP layer for transmission. These segments can be of different size. The segment is now encapsulated inside a IP datagram and transmitted. And now I will discuss about the TCP header. So in the previous discussion, I have discussed the various services provided by the TCP. That is reliability, connection oriented service, stream delivery service, congestion control mechanism. So here connection oriented service, as I show you in the example, when a process on a host want to communicate to a process on host B, the two TCP establish a connection, data exchange, and connection is terminated. And this is the virtual connection, it is not physical. So all the IP datagram may follow different routes, may arrive out of sequence. So TCP is also take responsibility to delivering the bytes in particular order. So maintaining a virtual connection, TCP provides full duplex communication, data can flow in both directions. Now I will discuss about the TCP header. So before going to discuss about the TCP header, I will take an analogy. What do you mean by TCP header? Suppose you want to write a letter to a particular person. So what do? You will write a letter first, then you will put into a letter, and you have to mention various type of information on the envelope. What information you will put on the envelope? That is receiver name, sender name, suppose in case of no delivery of data, so that the receiver can receive it again, and sender can ensure that the delivery of particular envelope. So you have to write the sender name, receiver name, then you will write some other information, essential information, like it is urgent, it is most urgent, or you can write personal, you can write important, and then whatever service you avail from post office you have to mention, like speed post, registered post, insured speed post. So just like these type information you have to mention on the envelope. So the information whatever you have written on the envelope, this is called header. The same concept is used in when in computer networking. Suppose you want to send a message to a particular person with your computer. So there is a need of different type of information, like sender address, receiver address, and as I discussed in analogy, urgent, acknowledgement, speed post, registered. So lots of information you have to mention here. So this information is known as header. You have to attach with data. Suppose you want to send two gifts to your brother and one for your sister. So what you will do, you will pack both the gift in a particular box by mentioning on each packet, this is for my brothers and this is for my sisters, and then you will pack in a particular box. Then you will mention the address of your home. Then you will mention your home address. So here the address of home is treated as the IP address, and the address whatever you have written inside the box, that is on a particular gift, your brothers, your sisters name, that is treated here as a process address. Because whenever postman deliver this parcel to your home, it will open by somebody. Then you will find two boxes and written the different address, one for your address, your brother, and one for your sister. So with the help of the process address, that is the address written on the particular box, particular gift, that is treated as a process. So with the help of IP address and process address, you can perform proper delivery. So the same principle used in the computer also. So in case of computer networking, whenever you want to send the message to a particular person, then the IP address is used as a host to host address. It will deliver to the host only. But further, with the help of process address, the particular message delivered to the particular application running on your host computer, that is at destination side, receiver side, you can say. So you can see in the slide here, as you write information in your envelope, lots of information you have to attach with the data in computer networking also. So TCP uses a header. So first field is the source number, another field is destination port number. So port number here used, and when you study about IP header, then you have understand the concept of IP addresses, which is of 32-bit address. But in case of TCP header, there are port numbers used, source port number and destination port number. These port numbers are of 16-bit address. So as you see the header in the slide, I will discuss the various components which are mentioned here. So the source port number is of 16-bit. It specifies the source port number corresponding to the application which is sending the segment. Next one is destination port number. So it is also of 16-bit, and this field specifies the port number of the destination computer corresponding to the receiving application. And next field is sequence number. Sequence number field size is 4 bytes, that is 32-bit. It specifies the number assigned to the first byte of the data portion contained in this TCP package. Each byte to be transmitted is numbered in an increasing sequence. It tells the destination host which byte comprises the first byte of the TCP segment. During the connection establishment phase, the source and the destination generate a unique random number. Suppose the random number which is generated by the system is 3000, and the first segment contains 2000 bytes. I am repeating. Suppose the random number generated by the system is 3000 and the first segment contains 2000 bytes. Then the sequence number will be 3000 plus 2, that is 3002. And 3000 and 3001 are used in connection establishment. So the concept of connection establishment we will discuss later in another lecture. But here for your concern, for example, I have taken a random number 3000 and the first segment contains 2000 bytes. Then the sequence number will be 3002. Then what about 3000 and 3001? So I am telling you these 3000 and 3000 are used in connection establishment. The second segment would be the second segment would have a sequence number of 5002, means 3002 plus another segment's size, that is 2000, and so on. So the second segment would have a sequence number of 5002. And next field is acknowledgement number. So acknowledgement here, we have to mention the acknowledgement. On receiving a packet with sequence number X, the receiver sends back X plus 1 as acknowledgement number, increasing 1. It defines the sequence number which the receiver is expecting next. So next field is header length. The size of header length is 4 bytes. Sorry, 4 bits. Only 4 bits. The header length can be written can be between 20 to 60 bytes. Therefore, the value of this field can be between 5 into 4 means 20, and maximum is plus 15 into 4 60, that is 80. So the header length can be between 20 to 60 bytes. So as I have discussed here, I explain you with the help of an analogy. That is, whatever information you have written on the envelope, that is the part of header, and whatever message you have put inside the envelope, that is the message. So suppose you have attached the 20 bytes header. Header size is 20 bytes, and your information is 50,000 bytes. So the total length of header length, the total header length will be the total length minus data. So you will get the header length. So to write the header length, there is a 4 bits space reserved, and there are 6 bits that is reserved. These 6 bits are reserved for future use, and another 6 fields are used. You can see here, these are special flags written, that is URG, ACK, PSS, RST, SYN and FIN. So URG means here urgent. This field is used to indicate that there is a data in this segment which sent at the upper layer has marked urgent. The location of the last byte of this urgent data is indicated by 16-bit urgent data pointer field. And next field is ACK, that is acknowledgement. This field indicates that the value carried in the ACK field is valid. Next field is PSH. PSH means push. The receiver is represented to deliver the data to the application upon arrival and not buffer in until a full buffer has been received. Next field is RST, that is reset. The reset the connection due to host crash or some other reason. Suppose sender received data, sender send the data and receiver received data incorrectly. Then when receiver indicate to sender, then sender will reset the connection. And next field is SYN. SYN is used for synchronize. It synchronizes the sequence number. And last that is FIN. FIN indicates finish. Finish, that is finish the data. It indicates the finished data. So here you have seen the various flags. So next field is window size. So what is the use of window size? The field size is here 16 bits. This field is used to credit based flow control scheme in bytes. Contains the number of data bytes beginning with the one indicated in the acknowledgement field that the receiver is willing to accept. And next field is checksum. It is also of 16-bit. It provides extra reliability. It checksum the header, the data and conceptual pseudo header. The checksum algorithm simply adds up all the 16-bit words in one's complement and then takes one's complement of the sum. As a consequence, when the receiver performs calculations on the entire segment, including the checksum field, the result should be 0. Otherwise, 1. So, next field is urgent pointer. So, urgent, what is the use of urgent pointer? This field is used in situation when the segment contains urgent data. It specifies the number that must be added to obtain the number of first urgent byte in the data section of the segment. And finally, you can see here the option field. Option field is optional. It is not necessary to add, always add. At present, only one option is defined, which specifies maximum segment size that will be accepted. So, when you suppose you want to find out the size of data, then you have to first find out the total length. The total length minus header length, it will be actual data. So I have discussed here many things, and last here you can see pseudo header. Pseudo header, here I have discussed PSS. The flag is PSS. So this is the diagram of PSS, that is pseudo header. So here I have discussed what is the use of pseudo header. Actually, it is the part of the header of the IP packet in which the segment is encapsulated with some fields set to 0. It is added to have better error control. This way we ensure that if the IP header is corrupted, the segment is not delivered to the wrong host. So, and the protocol, another field is here, the protocol. Protocol field is added to ensure that the packet belongs to the TCP and not UDP, because a process can use either TCP or UDP. The destination port number can be same. The value of this field is 6. If the value is changed, the checksum calculation will detect it and discard the packet instead of delivering it to the wrong protocol. So I have discussed here many things in this lecture. I have discussed about the services provided by the TCP. First I have discussed about transmission control protocol and its various characteristics. Then I have discussed about the various services provided by the TCP, that is transmission control protocol. Then I have discussed about the TCP header. So just to clear more concept, you just refer the TCP IP book, that is Douglas E. Comer. It is written on TCP IP protocols. Thank you.